Hi, it's Daniel Lucas. Thanks for coming to Chasing Energy, episode number 45 with Fitz Koehler, author of My Noisy Cancer Comeback. Fitz was a fitness influencer. She has a great website, fitzness.com. All of it's in the show notes, including her Instagram. She is a race announcer and also an author, but probably most importantly, she's an inspiration to individuals who are going through cancer, specifically in her case, breast cancer. And she details in her book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, which I read in preparation for this interview, the things that you don't hear about a lot, and just how long the process is of getting back on your feet, even when you catch it early. And in her case, that's a big part of her message. She has a slogan called "Squeeze Your Stuff," and the idea there is, yes, even if you have a mammogram or something like that, you need to be checking on a regular basis. Annual check-ins are not enough. First, I wanted to say I'm very impressed with her patience. We had all sorts of technical difficulties when we were trying to connect, which I normally do not have technical difficulties. And in this case, she was very patient about getting online. And I'm grateful to Fitz for not only for connecting and reaching out to me, but definitely for being patient with the interview. I'm going to read two reviews, and because it means a lot to me when you leave a review. I'm happy to say I have no idea who these two people are. It doesn't mean I don't know them, but I don't know who they are. Their usernames are like acronyms that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but the first one says, "Great show. Listen to a few episodes, and Daniel is great both with guests and on his own. Easy listening and good advice." It's nice to know that people like the solo episodes. I actually looked at the downloads, and one of my little solo episodes is one of my top downloads, which really shocked me. Number two, it says 10/10 recommend, and this one is from Roland Garros, the Ultimate, which I typed that into Google, and it was some type of tennis player. I don't presume that's the actual professional tennis player. I suspect it's a dedicated fan. This is an excellent podcast, contains tons of insight on proper health, nutrition, and fitness. Daniel's a wealth of knowledge and speaks like someone who walks the talk. Without a doubt, one of the best podcasts out there. Buddy, if you were in my neighborhood, I would definitely treat you out to lunch or a coffee for that comment. That made my day. Enjoyed this interview with Fitz. Please give her a follow. Look at what she does. Her Instagram is kind of entertaining. She's always at these different races. Recently, I think she was in England, and it was very overcast and raining. And thank you for following Chasing Energy.
Fitz Koehler, thank you for your patience in the technical difficulties and connecting with me. It's such a pleasure to meet you virtually. I'm so glad you're here. For those who are listening, picture Pollyanna with a wonderful neon light, which says what?
Fitzness.
Fitzness. And
Yeah.
you truly embody the idea of fitness in the sense that you practice what you preached long before you had your setbacks, but even during your setbacks, you encouraged others to do those type of things. And there's so much to your story. My Noisy Cancer Comeback
Yes.
is the book. Do you want to tell us about when it's coming out?
Well, so My Noisy Cancer Comeback has been out.
Okay.
That one came out in October of 2020. And
okay. And
so that's
I heard it through Spotify. Is it on Audible as well, or?
Yeah, it's wherever books are sold. So you
Okay.
can get the hardcover, the paperback, the ebook, the audiobook. That book's been out for 2 years now, and it's been doing incredibly well. And, the blessing and the curse of that book is every day, usually most people buy it at fitzness.com on my website
Mhm.
because I sign all of those books and I send them with a sticker and pretty packaging and make my readers feel special. But every day I get messages that say, my dad was just diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Can you get him your book ASAP? Or my sister was diagnosed with this or that. So I'm so grateful it's out there helping people, but it also is it's tough hearing about all the cancer cases. And then, of course, I set myself up for a little more because my two new books, Dan, are Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. So that's the guidebook, the manual for cancer patients and survivors to dig their way out of that very deep hole cancer puts us in and rebuild their health and get back to Living Well, and there's a companion journal, Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. So
Yes, ma'am.
those are all 3 books.
Wonderful. Quite the trilogy. I'd like to start by asking you to share with our listeners what your life was like before the diagnosis. So give it, because there's actually like you pointed me to your strength training for runners video, which is actually before, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my life before cancer was freaking awesome. I had everything going well. I was healthy as a horse. I was an athlete. I ran races, half marathons, and obstacle courses races regularly. I was always strength training and doing all sorts of other stuff, traveling most weekends of the year as a professional race announcer. So I'm the voice of massive running events like the Los Angeles Marathon and many others. And yeah, doing keynote speaking, traveling. I had 2 great kids who were teenagers, 13
hmm
and 15 at the time.
And a
I'm a
wonderful
dog
husband.
mom too. Yeah, married to a police lieutenant. And yeah, everything was going great. I certainly wasn't anticipating my life to get thrown into spin cycle with
hmm
something as terrifying as cancer.
Yeah. And I know you like to share this part, but there was a very small gap between your mammogram and the self-diagnoses. Feel your stuff.
Yeah. Squeeze your
Squeeze
stuff.
your
That's
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
I am exhibit A of 2 things. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody because I do most things right. And then the other thing is, you get those annual exams, but you cannot rely exclusively on them because I had a crystal clear mammogram in late December of 2018. And 7 weeks later, I found a lump in my breast and it was a sizey lump and it had already spread to my lymph nodes. So holy cow, this thing was on the move. If I had waited another 10 months to get the mammogram, I'd be dead.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I covered the part in your book, or I enjoyed the part in your book where it seemed like you were on the verge of getting through it, and then it came back and said it was still in your lymph nodes. So you had to go
Oh,
back
yeah.
and do that part.
You know what's so interesting is I kind of forget about those things.
hmm
It was 15 months of chemo, and some of it's a blur. But whenever I go into the oncologist's office for my checkups, I see the stairwells, and there's a stairwell that leads up to the PET scan machine, and the radiation tech gave me the wrong information. But I was told right before I came down those stairs that there was no more cancer. They couldn't see anything. And, me and my little bald, sick body halfway down those stairs, and I collapsed with relief. And I'm not that person. I don't consider myself incredibly emotional or
Yeah.
dramatic,
hmm
but yeah, I got that information and it was such a weight off my chest. Sadly, it was the wrong information. But when I think about that, every time I pass those stairs, I think, ooh, that was interesting.
Yeah. And you cover the ins and outs of getting these regular treatments, what happens to your body, what happens to your mind, what happens to your family, what happens to your fitness while all these treatments are taking place. I do notice that anytime you say, we'll call this person, I go, oh, this is not going to be a person so I think I thought you were leading in there about the time where they misscheduled your appointment and you got there 6 hours early and you had to sit there hooked up to the IV for 6 hours prior to the procedure because they had bumped it up.
Oh, that was my surgery.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was livid. And you know what made me so angry? Is that I was hangry.
Yeah.
You can't eat before
No.
surgery. I was storming around my room. I was stomping around my room like a caged lion. No one was allowed to talk to me. That was just a kick in the crotch. You don't take a cancer patient and then yank them around that way. I was so mad. And what can you do? You can't scream or yell at anybody or throw things. That doesn't help. So I just had to stomp around and tell people to stay away from me.
Mhm.
That was
So one of the themes that I got from your book from the very beginning, and you mentioned this on our pre-call, was that even in going into this, you made the decision that you were not going to be the kind of patient who allowed any type of pity for them.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a very particular point I heard in every chapter of your book, which was, I'm not trying to draw pity from this. I don't want your pity. Can you tell us a little bit about what that started from? Have you always been that way prior to this? And why is it that you think that way?
So pity makes me recoil. I want to be acknowledged for the good things that I do or the efforts I put forth or just being a nice person. I also I'm really turned off by all the people on social media that get on and say pray for me. I sprained my ankle. Or I just want everyone to know that I've had COVID and I'm still coughing. Please everybody know this. And I think why? Why do we all have to know this? Why does everybody in the world need to know that anything is going wrong with you?
Hmm.
I was bullied into revealing my diagnosis because I was going to go bald. People were going to ask questions, but yeah, I really don't. Gosh, I just don't enjoy when other people do it. And you know how sometimes you see role models and you think, I want to be like them. And then there's a role model of the different sort where you think, oh, I definitely don't want to be like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that just that plea for pity just makes my skin crawl. So it's not who I am. I didn't want anyone to see me falling down. I would much rather people see me standing up.
Hmm. So with that, I'll do a segue there, and that is because this is sprinkled throughout your book. Can you tell me your top 3 things to not tell someone who is going through cancer?
Oh, what a good topic. You're a great, a great listener of my audiobook. So, number one, the first weird thing people told me is, so once I reveal publicly that, hey, I have breast cancer, and as you recall, I said, I don't want your pity. You can root for me. I'm going to be fine. But so many people reached out and just said, hey, I just want to let you know, my sister died of breast cancer. And I thought, what, why would you say that to me? Why would you take me in this vulnerable state and just kind of twist the knife in my back and say, just want to let you know,
Hmm.
lots of people are dying. Yeah, I know people are dying. So definitely, if you know someone with cancer or any other sort of potentially terminal disease, please don't say that. Say, my canned response is science is making progress every day, and I'm rooting for you. I know you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be okay. So that's the first thing.
Hmm.
And then the second thing was when I was bald, and again, I
Yeah.
was very, very bald, no wig. So that was a good topic of conversation. People tended to find real joy in coming up and saying, hey, do you know when your hair comes back, it may be really dark and really curly? And my hair previously was long and pretty straight and blonde. And what I thought was interesting is how much joy people took in sharing the fact that this hair that I loved and I lost may never be the same again. And I
Hmm.
thought, wow, that's really fun for you because this is not very fun for me. So I never retaliated against people who said things like that, but I don't think it was very thoughtful. What was the other thing I should be mentioning?
I don't know a third one. Those were the 2 I thought of. I just wanted to ask your top 3 because I'm sure you have several. Um,
Oh yeah.
on that note, I'll let you off with 2. I want to know what we want to differentiate here because you're what I get from you is that you want empathy maybe, but not sympathy. Those are 2 different things. And sympathy is I feel sorry for you, poor pitiful you. Empathy is I want you to know that I connect to you as a person and I feel the
Yeah.
struggle you're going through. So what I'd like you to do now is tell us what do you recommend if you know someone who is going through any form of cancer? How do they approach that? What are some words to break the ice?
I care about you. I will be here to support you. In fact, these are the things I'm going to do. So there's 3 different ways you can help a cancer patient. Number 1 is financial support. I mean, some people don't have the funds to pay for uh, their home if they're not working, right? So there's the gift cards are a good way. If you don't want to give someone cash, you might buy them a gift card to a restaurant or a grocery store. And
Mhm.
some people set up GoFundMe's. People offer that for me. I did not need it, so I refused. But lots of people sent gift cards to the grocery store and restaurants and things, which were really nice, especially for my family to just say, here, go, leave me at home and please go have a nice meal. So there's the financial support. There's the practical support, which is showing up and folding laundry, showing up and mowing the lawn or providing a lawn service,
Acts of
all those
service.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that need to be done. And then last but not least, it's that emotional support and and friendship. And you can do that anytime from anywhere. If you can go sit with a person who's at chemo, or just sit with them at home and keep an eye on them if they're in rough shape. I mean, nobody knew this other than the people within my home, but there were days where if someone didn't bring me a drink, I wouldn't have had a drink. I was that sick. So you never know. Most cancer patients are unwilling to tell you what they actually need. So be aggressive, show up. And then my other favorite emotional connections were friends from around the country and world that would text me and say, hey, you don't have to respond. Just know I love you.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful to me, because some days I really was actually too sick to text a response. And so, pick your methodology, but just continuously pour love, and it'll be meaningful to them whether you hear back from them or not.
Yeah. I like that, especially that last part. When I know somebody who passes, or their mom or brother passes, that I go with I'm here for you if you need me. You don't have to respond. I'll bring you whatever. What I don't do, and I hope I don't offend too many people with it, I cannot stand the statement, I'm sorry for your loss, because it's such a canned phrase that people throw around. And to me, it's used so much, it's like, I don't know what to say. So saying, how are you today is another one.
Yeah, I also think what you just said is probably the kindest thing. I don't know what to say. I know I can't make this better, but I love you, or I care about you. I tell everybody I love them, and I pretty much mean it. Not everybody's on the love train like I am, but I care. I don't know what to say, but I care about you, and I'm here for you. That's good enough.
Absolutely, it is. What we want from people is, I think, at a deeper level. I don't necessarily need you to agree with me so much as I need your integrity. I need you to just tell me truthfully what's going on. And when I ask for advice from one of my guy friends, for example, I always tell them, I don't need you to make me feel good. What I need is to be a better person. And so let's just get to that point, if you and skip.
You know what? You and I have to be best friends. It's so sweet.
It's hard not to. After reading your book, I feel so connected to you.
Oh, you're such a sweet guy. You're such a sweet guy.
Well, the race announcing is something that you take a particular pride in. I will have you know, Fitz, while I'm not running, I told you I was not running right now, but I did think to myself, I wonder how hard it would be to try to find one of the events that she does. And that way I could see at the finish. You had some great stories about all the different antics, the Wonder Woman, Batman, and all those type of things. And then you also talked about how you made it a point to make a brief announcement whenever you would tell them about your diagnosis, and kind of like you did at the beginning of this podcast, and say, hey, I got tested. I found it shortly thereafter. This happens. I'm dealing with it. I'm going through it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Nothing I do is about me. So of course my name is the brand, right? It's Fitzness. It's my.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Now you're an inspiration.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But my business is always about you. It's always about the consumer and who I can help. And so the last thing I wanted to do on race day was turn anybody's attention to me. I mean, my head was a spectacle enough. And I never wore, I said it again, I never wore wigs or hats to cover up. Sometimes I wore hats because I was cold, right? But I knew, especially during the anthem, when I took off my hat, the 20,000 people in front of me would go, oh, and they would start thinking about me. And I really just didn't want that. And so I was like, hey guys, blah, 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 diagnosed with cancer, but I caught it early. I'm going to live, squeeze your stuff. And, those people showed up to have a great day, not to feel super sad for the poor bald announcer. So yeah, it's everything I do is about you, so we talk about me, this book, and when I first started doing press for my book, it felt very strange. Even though I had already written the memoir, I could pour all of the dirty details, all the gory details into the book, because two things. A, I was already done with cancer. So nobody could pity me. Like, you could look back and hear what I went through, but you can't pity me because you see me, I'm strong and wonderful. That's right? But then once I started talking about some of this stuff to people with my mouth and your ears, and it felt a little strange. But I guess my story is helping other people do better and be better. And so I've come to grips with that. And
hmm
here we are talking about it, right?
So, on that, help people do better and be better. Tell us about a couple of your different efforts there, because there's the one with children I want you to share that you try to get in the schools, and then the other one's uh, the hottie
Oh, my
bodies.
hotties.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll start with the morning
hmm
mile. And if anyone's interested, check out morningmile.com because I'm always recruiting help to get more kids moving in the mornings.
hmm
It's a before school walking running program. Each school that uses the morning mile, and I have over 400 programs implemented around the world. I have 4 countries and most states in America. But the schools basically provide a 30-minute window before class begins for kids and their families and the faculty to show up, and they can walk as slow as they want, run as fast as they want. They can do 1 lap and go to class. They can do 4 miles and go to class. We offer fun, friendship, play music, make it highly rewarding, and we require nothing. There's no choreography, there's no coaching. It's just a fun place to get active before school starts, and we unleash these kids, and they do incredible things. Absolutely nobody's excluded. I want the girls, I want the boys, I want every age group, I want the moms and dads and bus drivers, and we get that.
Yeah.
The morning
You
mile.
provide in that sense, you provide a couple of things, and I'll get a little psychological. One is you provide the environment, and that it's consistent to where people
And welcoming.
and welcoming. So they know where it's at. They know there's people there, and they know it's sort of waiting on them in a convenient location, which kind of takes out why most people won't make the time to do this.
Right. Right. And they don't have to pay for it. So businesses or generous individuals sponsor the program. So the schools traditionally get it for free unless their PTA wants to pay for it. But the kids get charged nothing. The moms get charged nothing. Everybody shows up for free. And it's really like, why would we not want to go do that?
And I don't know if you follow this, but one of the best things you can possibly do for your uh, sleep and to kick off your circadian rhythm is to expose yourself to the sun first thing in the morning. For it's depending on the brightness, of course, it's between 5 and 15 minutes. But it amazes me how many children don't see the sun for more than 2 or 3 minutes during their entire day. It just blows my mind how the only time they see it is between the car and a building, and they
Yeah.
might have a recess where they're actually out there. But that to me is a huge disservice to the health of your mind and body, is to not be exposed to the outdoors in any form or fashion.
So yes, definitely, you hit that nail on the head. I think it's cruel and unusual to take a squirmy little child, pump them full of sugary cereal, and then pin them down in a
hmm
seat for 7 hours.
Yeah.
It just
And then tell
that's
them, hey,
inhumane.
they can't focus. Your child has focus disorders of some sort or another.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
no, your kid needs to move. But where my programs are, I mean, it varies. Sometimes it's in a very rural place or a very like Calabasas has it and Compton has it and everywhere in between. But in my schools in Chicago, they have a basketball court outside. They don't have a lot of space.
mhm.
So they exercise in whatever space they have. Sometimes they run laps around the building. Sometimes they go across the street to a playground, a city park to do the program. Sometimes it's a parking lot that gets sealed off and the kids run around the parking lot because that's the only space they have. But where there's a will, there's a way. I truly believe that. And, there shouldn't be any excuses when it comes to physical priority on physical activity with kids.
Okay. And I cut you off. You were going to talk about the hottie group as well.
Oh, yeah. No, you didn't cut me off. I leapt in. So my Hottie Body Fitness Challenge is my online Facebook group, free to join. Everybody's welcome. And it's called the reason it's called the Hotties is I used to be the fitness expert for America Online. And I had a column between Thanksgiving and New Year's called the Holiday Hottie. And, where most people gain all this weight, I not only helped people get to the new year fitter, not fatter,
hmm
I helped so many people lose a tremendous amount of weight in December. And so there was that holiday hottie thing. I left AOL, but I wanted to continue that effort. So I kept the word hottie because holiday wasn't always
hmm
relevant. I made it the Hottie Body Fitness Challenge. Now, all of these people in the group, there's thousands. They are regular Joes and Janes. No one's like a Kardashian in a thong and leopard print plastic outfits. It's just regular people. And I provide daily guidance. We use the exact formula for weight loss, which is not a diet. People just learn how to eat the right amount of the right food for the
That's right.
size they specifically want to be. And then I provide daily workouts. I say, yeah, like today, cycle for 25 minutes and then do these 4 strength training and stretching exercises. Here's little videos that go along. So, where some people say, I don't know how. Okay, here's how. I'm giving you absolutely everything you need. I don't have a gym membership. Okay, you don't need one. You can do these things in your living room. I don't have money. Okay, I'm not asking for your money. It's just do it for free. And then these people, my hotties, I call them, they're from everywhere and they're so kind and they take such good care. I've created an environment where everyone must be nice or I will kick you the heck out. I have no problem removing anyone who tries to sell a pill or a powder or say something
Yeah.
nasty. And so the people left over are just warm and fuzzy and they try hard and they accomplish extraordinary things where they're losing 300 pounds or that they're trying to get rid of their back pain. It's just a wonderful environment. I'm so proud of these people. It's a blessing to be associated with.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'll make sure I put some links in the show notes for these type of
Thanks.
things. Yeah. So talk to me about the things that people don't think of when they're going through cancer that they're be affected. I think we all know the hair and that you get very tired. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking of things like when you talked about your fingernails and a couple of other
Oh,
things. What are some of the things that shocked you? Your eyes changing color.
yeah.
What are some of the things where you thought or that you could share that, you know, you don't necessarily expect these type of things?
Yeah, so every cancer and treatment is different, right? So it's like the snowflake. We all have our different experiences, but my drugs, for example, were the kind that killed rapidly dividing cells. So everything in my digestive system went, my fingernails, my hair. I didn't anticipate my fingernails. We knew the hair was going to go from my head. What I didn't anticipate is my nose running profusely,
Hmm.
thinking it was allergies, and then a friend's how are you? I said, I just have allergies because I had all the tissues on my table at my finish line. She said, you don't have allergies. And I said, yeah, I do. My nose is running like crazy and I'm not sick. She said, you don't have any nostril hair. And so I had her look in my nostrils and she was right. And so that was crazy. I knew I would lose the hair on my head and my legs and my armpits, etc. But I didn't think about my nostrils. When my eyes changed color, that was bizarre. I wasn't stuck. I was in a hotel in Monterey and I
Hmm.
woke up and my eyes had my whole life have been gray. I've been that person with the pale blue gray eyes and got out of the shower, looked in the mirror and they were big navy saucers. And I thought, what the hell? And I looked again. I thought, well, this is crazy. What's going on? And then I thought, well, I could call 911, but they probably just sent a psychiatrist over. And if I called and said, help, my eyes have changed colors. So I thought, what the heck? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing things. And then my announcing partner, Rudy, showed up, knocked on the door. And the very first thing he said is, what the hell happened to your eye? I said, I know. So they still haven't gone back to gray. They're stuck. They're royal blue. That's where they've settled, which is not a terrible fate,
No.
but they're also not my gray eyes, which I used to like. What else? So the fingernails were strange. You know how every ring on a tree represents a year of life? I ended up with these rainbow shaped ridges
Hmm.
forming on my fingernails. I thought, well, that's weird. And all 10 and my toenails, they all got ridges. And what would happen is I got a new ridge every time I went in for chemo. And so my chemo, the first 6 months of it or the first 6 rounds were every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, this new ridge, rainbow shaped ridge would develop. And then they started rotting out. My fingernails rotted out on my fingers, which I only realized once I brought my hand by my face. I thought, what is that smell? That's disgusting. What did I touch? But I didn't touch anything. I had rotten fingernails on my hands, which again, nobody warned me of. And then they all started ripping off. I would touch something and it would catch and the nails would rip off and my toenails ripped off. And it was insanity. Just, you would think I had been through enough, being sick and tired and all that stuff. That's plenty. But there, my fingers are bing, bing. And it was extremely painful and very pathetic. I didn't want pity, but I tell you what, I felt very pathetic. But, I talked about that stuff. It's interesting how many cancer patients reach out and say, yes, I have the ridges on my nails, or, oh, my fingernails are ripping off too. And, that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. I wrote the book for two reasons. Number one, I thought this is wild and crazy. Nobody talks about this stuff.
Mhm.
And also, I think people get a good laugh at my expense because some of that stuff had to make you laugh, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's wacky. And it's okay to laugh because cancer can be funny. And then the other reason I wrote the book was because I knew that I had the ability to help people get through it better than they likely would without some good advice. So, yeah.
So on that note, tell us about Alfalfa and Lolita.
Well, Alfalfa, my pride and joy after being very, very bald for a very long time. Alfalfa was the very first hair that appeared on my head, and it was unusually long. It was like a 1-inch hair sprouted up overnight and just stuck out of the top of my head. And my kids were like, "Mom, you got to cut that." And I said, "Hell to the no. I am leaving this here.
Yeah.
It is going to serve as a beacon of hope to all the other hair follicles
Literally,
on my
yeah.
head." Yeah, yeah. And then another one came out the back of my head, maybe longer. And we call that one Lolita. She was my weird little ponytail. It was just one hair. But I was so proud of both of those hairs. I kept them. I never cut them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. You got to take the wins where you can.
So are there any, I mean, I think we can explore some of the psychological changes, but what are the things that you found your life was better afterwards and after the treatments were over that you maybe didn't have before, or even if it's just in terms of perspective, physically or from psychological perspective?
I would say psychologically, I fear so little.
Mhm.
There's very few things I fear. Mainly anything happening to my kids. Other than that, I am full blown game on life.
Yeah.
You invite me to do something rowdy or raucous or adventurous, and I am there. I will figure it out.
Mhm.
I am diving into trouble as much as possible and enjoying the hell out of every minute of it. So that's pretty cool. Any fears I used to have in business are gone. I mean, I'm just gung ho, and it's really working for me. I had great perspective before, which is really one of the great gifts I used throughout my cancer care because it was hard. It was really hard. And I think perspective really, really matters. But it's even more clear. I mean, I've had two vehicles in my family totaled in the past 6 weeks. One of them, we were in horrific car accident, walked away unscathed. And all I could think was, great. This is a great day for me. Most people would be moaning and complaining about their vehicle loss, and
The deductible.
Yeah, oh, who cares? Who cares? I'm alive. I'm not even scratched. My knee hit the dashboard, and no injury came. I thought, well, this is a great day. I was in a horrible car accident, and nothing went wrong. So, I think I hope that if you're someone who's going through cancer or you've been through cancer, you have lightened the heck up because you know how hard life can be. Every day without cancer is a great day.
Absolutely. What a great story. And your daughter, you are one of the unicorns when it comes to a parent, because you talk about how your daughter wants to be like you. something I cannot relate to.
I don't know if she wants to be like me, but the poor dear is like me.
Well, when you said like when she wanted to mock your hairstyle and when you had certain things on and that she wanted to look like you in some way or another.
Maybe.
All right.
She is like me. Poor girl. She looks so much like me. She is me on steroids, if you can imagine. She's wild.
And so another sign of your progress is when you would hike the hills and Rob would push you, and then he had to push you less and less and less to get up those hills, right?
Yeah. So actually, one of these cars that got totaled was totaled because it rolled down the hill and crashed. So that's how steep my hill is. But yeah, I was, coming out of the very meanest chemo fog and trying, pursuing exercise and baby steps. But I walked down the hill and trying to get back up, and I couldn't. stuck at the bottom of the hill. So I had to call my husband and say, hey, I need you to come get me. And he was like, oh, well, where did you go? On the bottom of the hill. He's like, I don't understand. I was like, I can't make it up. My legs won't carry me up this hill. You have to come. And so I can't remember if he drove me home. I think he drove me home that day, but after that, he would come on some of the walks with me if I went downhill, and he'd get behind me and he would push. Just push, two hands, push.
Now, was this
And I would
was
yell
this
at
at
him.
your request, or was it him
It was both.
metaphorically and literally pushing you?
Yeah, he was actually pushing me physically with his hands up the hill so I could do part on my own accord. And then, he was maybe giving 80% of the effort. And then sometimes he would pull. And then eventually I could start doing it myself. I walk the dog. I'm over 2 years out of treatment.
Mhm.
And every time I go up the hill, I think, God damn, I can just walk up this hill. I'm so proud of me. It's a small thing, but it was a big thing.
Well, it's a benchmark for your recovery. You're able to look at every part of that hill and go, this is where I was at this point. This is where I was at this point in my journey, etc. Are there any limitations on you as far as your training and whatnot?
Oh, that's a great question. No, so the things that are different about me, so I can't get pregnant anymore. I lost my period. I can't have
Mhm.
children, which is just fine. I was done anyway, so that's actually kind of a blessing.
Mhm.
Thanks, cancer. I have some scars, but that's okay. I'm just fine with that. The thing that I've been lacking, it's very interesting. I just crossed this bridge. So I had surgery on July 31st of 2019. And I got a lumpectomy and they removed lymph nodes. And so had that happen and then instantly went into radiation and they zapped my entire breast and my armpit lymph node area. So there's just been a lot of weakness and scar tissue and soreness, which I didn't realize would take so long to come out of. I didn't find radiation particularly difficult. I didn't burn much. So I thought radiation was lovely. It was far more lovely than chemo. I didn't realize there was going to be long-term repercussions, but I haven't been able to do push-ups without pain. This left shoulder, chest area has just been weaker, and it's this SC joint. It's the sternoclavicle joint, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, in front of your neck, but anytime I tried to do push-ups, I got this horrible pinch, and it just was like not worth it. And the other day, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try some push-ups, and there was no pain.
Wow.
There was no pain. So I'm so proud. I went to physical therapy today and I said, Rob, I've got the best news ever. And he thought maybe I was appointed czar of something. And I said, I can do push-ups without pain. And so I don't know. I don't know if I think I'm done. I think I'm 100 plus 50%. I'm in great shape. And I hope most cancer patients know that they can also get back to, to status quo and then do better after treatment.
Side note and slight digression. When you do push-ups, do you have your hands on the floor or do you have one of the perfect push-up twister things?
Oh, I prefer the floor.
Okay.
But I have done the perfect push-up.
I just find my shoulders ache less if I have a twist motion in mind, but that's me. That's me.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Well, regardless, I don't mind trying them, but yeah, I don't have to worry about pain anymore. Their push-ups feel good again.
Yeah.
What a great triumph for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what races you have coming up that you'd like to share over the next couple of months.
Oh boy. Well, I'm going to just rattle them off and I hope people come to fitzness.com and look me up because
Your tour, is that your live tour schedule?
Yeah, it says race announcing schedule
Yeah.
or whatever. What's next? I have the Donna National Marathon to finish breast cancer in Tampa or in Jacksonville in February, followed by Gasparilla, the big pirate party in Tampa in February. I have Coast Guard Marathon, Los Angeles Marathon, San Diego Half Marathon, Big Sur Marathon, Savannah Women's Half Marathon, Fargo Marathon, Buffalo Marathon, you name it. I have an incredible race schedule coming up. There's something for everybody. And when I say marathon, know that all of my marathon weekends have a half marathon. Many of them have 10Ks, 5Ks, which is only 3.1 miles. Some of them even have 1 mile races, kid races, baby races, dog races. So marathon weekends are diverse and there's something for everybody.
All right. And tell our audience a little bit about where they can find you, Fitz.
Oh, so fitzness.com is my headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
That's home base for me. That's FITZ as in zebra, NESS.com. There's a ton of free resources for you there, workout videos, recipes, articles, blah, blah, blah. It's all there. My books are on sale there. So I'd love for you to stop by. And if you don't have cancer, great. I hope you don't. However, every single person I know loves somebody with cancer
Mm-hmm.
or loves somebody who recently just finished cancer care. So please let them know the Cancer Comeback series is available, because my mission now is to get these resources into the hands of those who need it. Cancer care is brutalizing, and there are close to zero resources of this kind to help people through it. So that's where the books are sold. They'll also be sold everywhere else, but again, I like personalizing them. So
Mm-hmm.
come to fitzness.com. I'm also at Fitzness on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then I'm on LinkedIn. So my request is that if you follow me, great, but please reach out, comment, say, I heard you on Daniel's Chasing Energy podcast, because I'd much rather have friends than followers. So please say hi.
Oh, that's a powerful statement. I like that.
Yeah.
Friends were, and you had alluded to that too, that the people who followed you were more active than passive in how they interacted with.
It's amazing. It's amazing how you can form these wonderful relationships with people, either someone you've never met in person or you just chit chat with online. But I don't know, we all really care about
These are
each
the
other.
good things about social media, right? That
Yeah.
we can inspire, we can connect to people, we can do things, right?
So grateful for it.
Yeah. Well, this has been a true honor and a pleasure. I'm a fan, and I look forward. I look forward to following you and hopefully running one of your races sooner than later. Fitz.
Oh, you better come,
All right.
because we're besties now.
We're
It's
besties.
a rule.
You can count on it.
Yeah.
You can count on it.
Okay. Thank you.